You're listening to I Have Some Notes, a podcast supported by listeners like you. To contribute, visit patreon.com/I Have Some Notes.
Let's make a movie adaptation of the Super Mario Bros. Video game.
Yeah, Nintendo IP has been around for ages. Big nostalgia factor for the grown-ups, good brand appeal for the kids. Wait, wasn't there already an adaptation back in 1993?
The live-action one? Oh yeah, that was a huge misfire. A real fixer-upper. Kind of movie someone should probably do some notes about.
Wait, no, seriously, why aren't we doing that movie for the podcast? The animated one is, fine. It's not great, but it's fine.
Because the sequel is coming out right away.
Oh, right. I guess I have some notes.
Welcome, everyone, to I Have Some Notes, the movie podcast with cuts, keeps, punch-ups, and tweaks on mediocre movies. I'm Liam Creswick.
I'm Scott C. Bourgeois.
And I'm Greg Beaver.
And today we are discussing the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Let's go. And also, let's introduce our guest joining us from the Talking SMAC podcast. Josh Skaar is here. Hello, Josh.
Hey there, hi there, hello there. Hey, thanks for having me back. If we're doing voices, I'll just bust out my Wisconsin.
I was doing Jar Jar before we started recording for some reason. So yeah, it's all over.
That's a random one to pull out. Yeah, that was a fun one to just flash back to.
What's not too Misa and It's a Me is it's just a matter of where the syllables are placed.
That's fair.
They're both vaguely offensive to some people.
So, of course, we're discussing the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Came out summer of 2023. Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelenic were the directors. Pierre Leduc and Fabian Pollock co-directed. I think it's the first time we've seen that in our show notes as a credit, the director and co-director. Maybe one was animation and one was big picture. I can see that.
Well, I put them in there because I was kind of oh, really, 4 directors? And it occurred to me to go look at all of the other animated movies that have been out there recently. And apparently it's quite common, just because of the workload for animated movies to have many directors, 2, 3, maybe not as many have 4. But there's so much going on. And I imagine that maybe part of the reason that Super Mario Brothers needed 4 directors is the speed at which it was turned around. Because I believe the announcement and the actual release of this movie were pretty close to together for an animated film anyway.
I could also see things if one of them was on directing the voice actors and one of them was on directing the 3D puppets in the, in Blender or whatever it is they use to animate it. Oh no, he should jump and then flip and then slide, not jump and then slide and then flip.
Yeah.
And that's different than telling Charlie Day to take it again, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was reading a director talking about just lighting, when you get on set on a scene, you set your lights and, those lights might be good for the whole day. But when you're animated something setting up your lights and that's a whole decision process and how the lights change from one animated scene to the next and all this kind of stuff. So it's a long process just to do those types of things. Makes sense.
Written by Matthew Fogel and based on the character Jumpman from the video game Donkey Kong, 1981. We got Chris Pratt as Mario, Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach, Charlie Day as Luigi, Jack Black as Bowser, Keegan-Michael Key as Toad, and Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. You guys all have kids. I guess the question is, how many times have you seen this movie?
I think this is my 4th.
Yeah, I've seen it a fair number of times. We took Gideon to see it in the theater. It was our first time taking him as a family to go see a movie in theater, and he was pretty excited to go, actually.
Yep.
And they got impatient because Nita and I are credit watchers, and he was like, the movie's done. Why aren't we leaving?
Yeah, this was Isla's very first movie ever in the theater. Yeah.
Nice. I've seen this movie a few times, maybe 4 times in its entirety. This would probably be the 5th, but I have heard this movie because we have the DVD copy for our van many, 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 many times, because my kids go through like 2-month cycles where they don't want to change it, even though we have like 40 DVDs in the van. Like, no, we'll just keep watching the same one. Like you can watch more Bluey, you can watch Mulan, you can watch The Lion King. You just want to keep watching Mario? Like, yep.
Well, maybe that makes you the perfect person to get a temperature check on how you feel about the cast. Because that was kind of like one of the things that was immediately, I don't know, quote unquote, controversial about the movie was casting Chris Pratt as Mario.
So I didn't like that casting to begin with, because it's kind of uninspired, and especially when they brought in Charlie Day, it's like, oh, they're just going for the Lego cast, or like the standouts from the Lego movie cast. And I really just hate Hollywood having to cast face actors as voice actors in movies. I know people like to bring up Robin Williams and Aladdin, and that kind of like created this domino effect of bring in an A-list actor to bring credibility to your movie, which animated films have been doing that forever. I mean, you have Debbie Reynolds as Charlotte in Charlotte's Web. Like this sort of thing has been happening forever. It's not Robin Williams' fault, but I still just can't get over the fact in this movie, and with God knows how many other movies that have happened over the last 30, 40 years, where you have this like minuscule budget for the animators and background voices, when you could just pay a voice actor probably a third of what you paid that face actor to do anything. In this movie in particular, I think the only person that brings anything of note and nuance to their character is Charlie Day as Luigi. That's the only casting where I'm like, I see what he's doing. I get it. I see how they're characterizing him. Chris Pratt as Mario, I don't need Chris Pratt as Mario, even if he's at the height of his powers post Guardians of the Galaxy. Him as Mario brings nothing to it other than credibility to the cast list in some sense for some people.
Yeah, it's a very cynical choice, I guess, is probably the best way of putting it.
I'd actually go watching this now. This is only my second time. I could hear Charlie Day if I wanted to. You hear Seth Rogen clear as day. But to Chris Pratt's credit, he actually does kind of an original voice, and I don't notice it's Chris Pratt, and that's the best part about it. Like, they kind of almost overpaid because they like, he doesn't sound like Chris Pratt. He's doing a pretty good job, and he's doing such a good job, I don't have to think about how Chris Pratt is in my ears. And so, good job.
Well, there was the meme when the first trailer came out and you could hear him, and the meme was that he sounded like the mom from Bob's Burgers.
I don't know that I could pick out Chris Pratt's voice, even if he wasn't putting on any particular affectation in a movie. So it was, as far as I knew, he was just doing his regular voice.
And that's kind of where I'm getting at with everything about like these face actors getting these roles, because I don't know that Anya Taylor-Joy brings anything in particularly special to Princess Peach to make her differentiated from any number of background characters. Like if you just put her in a lineup with anyone else and you just said, we're not putting a face to this character, tell me who that is. I don't know. That's Mushroom Toadette 14. It could be anyone.
Yeah.
And that's where I get really annoyed with all of this, because I think like this might be getting a little more off topic. The Paw Patrol movie, when that first got announced and they just showed like this list of celebrities that were going to be in this movie, and it's like, I'm not going to see the Paw Patrol movie for Kim Kardashian and Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, I know, Scott or Greg, you're a big Trek fan, but was the fact that Patrick Stewart was in the Emoji Movie, did that really move units for you?
I didn't even know that was the case.
Yeah, he's the poop emoji, I believe. Get it? Because he's got a classy British voice, but he's poop.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I also, in watching this a second time, the other thing about hiring celebrities to do the voices is I think they do manipulate them kind of South Park style. Because I was listening to Jack Black, and I'm like as Bowser, and I'm like, Jack Black's a very talented guy. Jack Black could probably do a lot of voices, and obviously like the intonation and the isms are all there. But I'm like, I think there's some kind of filter on his voice. I think they're giving him a little extra gravel. And it's like, well, if you're going to digitally manipulate it, like making Matt Stone sound like Kyle Broflovsky, then you definitely don't need huge celebrities, right? Like,
Yeah.
if they're gonna fudge it in the edit.
There's also the fact that some of these characters had existing voice actors who've been voicing them in the video games for literal decades. And those guys were given cameos in the movie when they could have voiced the characters. I'm just saying.
I suppose.
I think an hour and a half of Charles Martinet. Yeah, I think an hour and a half of Charles Martinet would have been too much. I really think you would have got the lead time of listening to this.
Yeah, it would have been intolerable. I think they made the right call not using that voice. I think the other thing that they were up against is that, a lot of these characters are kind of voiceless characters in the video games. Like, yeah, Mario says wahoo and things like that, but they don't, other than that, they don't really talk. So, you kind of have this situation where, okay, like there are sort of like iconic elements to it, but also not really, because they aren't really speaking characters.
I think what we really needed is for Captain Lou Albano to be brought back from the dead to revoice Mario as a character, just like he did back in the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. Back
yeah.
The quintessential and perfect Mario voice. That was my Mario voice growing up.
Same.
Yeah.
He had an accent. He's got one up on Chris Pratt right there.
A one up, you say? That's one of the power ups you can get. Yeah, let's go to the trailer and the plot summary, and then get into some of the things we liked about it or thought about this overall. Because the conversation about the voice actors seems to permeate every conversation about this movie, and I'm glad we kind of got it out of the way. Now we can get into the nuts and bolts.
My army! Koopas! Goombas! Whatever those things are! We will destroy the Mushroom Kingdom!
Bowser is coming.
I'm not afraid. I'll do anything for my brother.
We're going to save him.
Yes! Fire!
You asked for it. This is fun.
Here we go!
Mario is a down-on-his-luck plumber who dreams of bigger things. When water mains burst in the middle of Brooklyn, Mario sees his chance to become a hero. He grabs his cowardly brother Luigi and jumps straight into the sewers to find the offending pipe. The pipe they find, however, sends the brothers careening to a fantastical world known as the Mushroom Kingdom. Separated from his brother, who got the ass end of the warp pipe, Mario meets a fungi-shaped traveler named Toad. He insists that Princess Peach can help find Luigi, and just like that, they're off, literally saying, "Our big adventure begins now." Very subtle. Peach has her own problems, however. The evil king of the Koopas, Bowser, is on his way to take over the Mushroom Kingdom using a stolen star and take Peach as his bride. She hatches an urgent plan to convince the Kong army to fight alongside her people, but not before running Mario through an elaborate obstacle course to judge his worthiness to be part of the journey. Mario fails repeatedly, but Peach decides to bring him anyway because otherwise the plot wouldn't happen. King Cranky Kong will only lend his army to the cause if his champion is defeated in combat, so back to the wild obstacle course we go for a fight with his son Donkey Kong. This time, Mario wins. Then the movie turns into Mario Kart for some reason. During the race, Peach is kidnapped by the Koopas and taken to Bowser, who has destroyed half of the Mushroom Kingdom and is dangling Luigi in a cage above a pool of lava. Can Mario power up to save the princess, his brother, the Mushroom Kingdom, and Brooklyn from Bowser? Let's go!
I was really anticipating not enjoying watching this a second time, because the first and only time I had seen it previously, I took a cue from Mario's page and I imbibed some psilocybin mushrooms before watching it, and had a great time with it. I thought, but I fully chalked it up to doing magic mushrooms. Watching it dead ass this afternoon, just on my couch without that, still pretty good. I'm actually more pro this movie than I thought I would be. And I'm pretty cynical about this kind of stuff, but I was trying to think about why, and I think it's because this movie it succeeds at everything it sets out to do, but its goals are wholly different than most other movies that aren't big tentpole 4-quadrant blockbusters. And even among 4-quadrant blockbusters, I think it is sort of got its own priorities and its own goals, and it succeeds in that way. And I guess the thing that I want to highlight first that I really appreciated, Mario Kart the game has a sort of an famous feature where it's an accessibility thing. Anyone can play Mario Kart. Mario Kart is for everyone. There's like a baby mode, so little kids or people with disabilities can participate along with everyone else. And I feel like some of the script writing brought that ethos to it. It is not a subtle movie. I love in our description, it's like, he literally goes, we're going on an adventure. Like, it's not subtextually subtle. It's very broad, easy to digest. This isn't sentimental value, right? Like, this isn't loaded with subtext and things characters aren't saying, you know? But it doesn't mean it doesn't have nuance. The nuance and remarkable feat of cinema that this carries with it in a package of easily digestible sugary crap is how slick the animation looks. I loved the kineticism of this. Everything is moving. Everything is flowing and jumping. I think they did a good job navigating that kind of bouncy parkour Minions animation the studio is known for, with the fact that Mario is meant to either be 2D or like kind of on rails. Like everything's on a grid, right? Like everything's on a brick shaped grid. And so the script isn't subtle, but the animation does have nuance. And I think that's why it works for me. Cause if I ask it to not dumb down the dialogue, it's like asking them to take out the accessibility features of Mario Kart, but it still looks slick as hell. And the music is slick as hell. So that's why I kind of can't be mad at it for being sugary pablum, I guess.
I agree with you that the movie succeeds in what it's setting out to do. And it does. It's a gorgeous movie. No question. What I disagree a little bit with is that what it sets out to do is not ambitious. And it's something that we've seen before, even recently with the Lego movie. Like it's basically telling the same story as the Lego movie, and the Lego movie did it better and more interestingly. And I feel like that's the main shortfall of this movie. It is merely fine, and it could have been very good or great if they'd taken maybe a little more of a chance on the story they were trying to tell. And I just don't think the movie was ambitious enough. I think that's where I'm going with this. It could have been bigger. It could have been better. SpongeBob makes more ambitious movies than this. Like, and I think that's ultimately where it kind of falls short for me. It could have been something really, really incredible, and it was just kind of fine. And it is fine. It's a fine movie.
Interesting. I guess, like, look, I love ambitious movies. I love weird, take a big swing, risky movies. That's like my whole bread and butter. But I recognize from the minute I saw an ad for this on banana wrappers, its goal is not to be ambitious. Therefore, kind of complaining that it isn't ambitious seems like not to like negate what you said, but like sort of moot. Like it's not trying to break new ground. It's just trying to do this one thing very well. And that's deliver Mario stuff on a boilerplate movie template as slick and polished and effective as possible. It is the Big Mac of movies. It is highly palatable. It tickles our lizard brains. Yeah. Like Big Macs aren't ambitious either, but that's not what I'm like. I really didn't take a risk with this sandwich, you know, like, but I take your point. Yeah.
I will also agree with you guys on both the points that a beautiful movie, animation is incredible, and B, that it is a success. At least as far as its goal of entertaining kids, rousing success. Like my daughter watched this with me when I was rewatching it, and she was jumping around the room just like she was the first time she watched it. Just, she loves it. And I guess that's the only thing that, kids really need is a boilerplate plot and a whole bunch of fun things happening on screen. And this movie has that in spades.
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything you guys are saying. My biggest downside to this movie is that it is kind of inoffensively fine. And I think a big part of that is Nintendo being scared away from cinematic releases of their properties for 30 plus years because of the aforementioned Bob Hoskins Super Mario Brothers movie. And
that had some real choices.
But I think where I'm disappointed in this movie is that you could keep the plot even as it is, as Scott was saying, but it doesn't do anything visually interesting. The visual language of this movie is flat. The aesthetic of the design of the characters and the world is there, but the way the camera works, I think it's just really boring, and it doesn't do anything interesting that it could do with a video game nuance, with video game aesthetics in mind.
Interesting.
And, to kind of plug my own podcast a little bit here, I had a conversation with
not allowed.
I had a conversation back in over the summer with Gary H. Lee, who was the head of cinematography for K-pop Demon Hunters, and the way he was talking about how when it's Rumi and Jinu talking, they frame the camera and they frame the scenes like it's a K-drama, and then when Huntrix is together, they framed it like it's a music video when the music is going. And they had all these different ideas behind what the camera was trying to convey to the viewer. And what this movie is doing, the Mario Brothers movie, it's going, look at the pretty backgrounds that remind you of the things that you love from Mario. Mm-hmm. That's what it's setting out to do, Liam, to your point. And it does it really well. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen the trailer for the Super Mario Galaxy movie and I see Peach has the umbrella from Super Princess Peach on the DS, and I get excited because I think of the thing that I really enjoy. And that, to round it back to my original point, it just plays everything so safe that it just becomes flat and boring after multiple views as an adult.
Yeah, it's not artistically rich like a K-pop Demon Hunter or a Spider-Verse movie, right?
Yeah, Spider-Verse is like the gold standard for modern animated, like, visual flair.
Yeah.
If I can kind of not elaborate, if I can kind of build on what the two of you were kind of saying there, because Greg, you mentioned that the movie it feels perfectly good for kids. And Josh was just talking about how it's not visually interesting to him as an adult. I think that that's part of the misfire of this movie, is because Nintendo IP has been around since the 80s. We all grew up playing Nintendo games. We're very familiar with Mario through generations of iterations. And the movie is playing on that nostalgia to bring in the adult audience while simultaneously making a story and telling it in a simplified language directed at kids. There's nothing here for the grown-ups. Shrek knew to make a movie that played for both kids and grown-ups way back at the beginning of computer animation. And the Mario movie misfires for me a little bit because it's telling a story for my kids, and that's fine, but it should also be telling a story for me, the grown-up who grew up with Mario, and it's not. And that's another reason why it's disappointing for me.
So I have a question. Speaking of how this is like perfectly made for children, Liam, you opened me up to the term a Paddington, where a character who doesn't have or need. It's when we were talking about Goon. That's what it was.
Right. A static character. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a static character. He really has no true character arc. He's the same as he was in the beginning and at the end of the conflict of the film. And in this movie, I don't know that there is a true character arc that anyone goes through. Like, almost everyone is a Paddington, maybe Luigi at some point, but it seems like they're kind of playing up to him still kind of being a little bit of a coward going into this next one. So the only reason he even has some kind of character growth is because he has access to that superstar at the end. And that's what, not to jump the gun too far, but that's one of the fixes that I'm going to be diving into, is giving Luigi like an actual arc. But Mario is the same from A to B. Peach is the same throughout. Even Donkey Kong is more or less the same. Maybe he has a little bit of an arc, but I would say he's largely the same.
Yeah, he's mostly there to remind you that there was a brief moment where Mario's dad flat out said, "I don't believe in you." And then you pretty much forget about that until Donkey Kong's dad says, "I don't believe in you." And they go, "Wow, it looks like we got some common ground." And you're like, all right, I guess this is about fatherly pride and making your dad proud.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we kind of forget about that too. But that did lead to one of the best jokes in the movie, I think, which is when Donkey Kong says, "Well, your dad was right. That you're a loser, right?" Like that was yeah. I did like their dynamic, like the dynamic between Donkey Kong and Mario, and it's maybe a shame that there wasn't a little bit more of that going on.
Speaking of a little bit more, I also like that this is a tight 90. I'm trying to get away from complaining about movies being long or whatever, because I think it's not becoming of a proper cinephile. But for something like this, if this had gotten dragged out to 2 hours, I think it would have been tedious. But they kind of like, they show up, they spray colorful rainbows everywhere quickly and then leave. And it's like, great. Like it. Yeah.
If I was just dumping on it for not being grown up enough, in this case, they definitely recognized their target audience was kids, and they have a limited attention span. So 90 minutes and we're out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I can pick your guys' brain really quickly on one other thing, I think the only other part of this film that really is designed for kids is that they make it a soundtrack movie. So you have like the Beastie Boys, you have Aha, you have Mr. Blue Sky, which I think is a total misfire of a song to use because everyone's going to hear that and immediately just think, "Oh, Baby Groot. I like Baby Groot." But did you guys buy into the soundtrack of the film and not just the score? Like,
I very much dislike the needle drops. I think the score is fantastic. I think the needle drops suck and take away from what could be more well, I guess I don't know what they would take away from. I guess because you get these little music montages, and maybe that's more space for there to be some fun stuff with the characters.
Yeah, I think the Mario music is such a rich. There's so much great Mario music, and they use a lot of it with the big orchestral score. Like they use it really well. That it seems like a waste for there to be 4 or 5 spots where instead of more great Mario music, we have to hear No Sleep Till Brooklyn. And like, think about the scene with No Sleep Till Brooklyn where they're running through Brooklyn, jumping and moving through the construction site in, side scroller style. If that had some kind of cool, like, kind of like funky, pardon the terminology, but in this moment I can't think of any better, like urban flair to a Mario classic. Because I guess that's what they did. I don't have a Switch 2, but for my
that sounds like taking a risk, and we're averse to taking risks in this movie.
Like we've got this orchestral versions, but there could also be like funky jazz versions. Because correct me if I'm wrong, the new Mario Kart does that a bunch, where they like redo.
There is one needle drop that belongs in this movie, and that is the theme song to the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Mm-hmm.
Mario Brothers rap, That's a nice Easter egg, and that is and Jack Black singing Peaches. I will allow. Other than that, we don't need that. I 100% agree. You stick with the score.
I think when I saw this, I think when I saw this in theaters, I was mostly on board with it until we got to the Donkey Kong country, and they play Aha, Take on Me during the whole like. We're going to drive through the whole thing and not...
Speaking of safe.
Yeah. And I'm just sitting here thinking, you can't do David Shore's Donkey Kong Country theme from the Super Nintendo. You do. You can't do that right now? Like, that would be fine.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Where like, agreed.
Yeah, like I just imagine, doing more of like a Ghostbuster thing where you hire professional musicians to do their take on some manner of theme. It's more like I'm thinking more of like Ghostbusters 2016 when they got like Fall Out Boy and stuff like that to do music for them, right? Like that would have been great if someone was, like a popular band was doing their riff on the Mario theme, right? Especially in that scene in Brooklyn. I think that would be a perfect opportunity to add the kind of flair that Liam was talking about. Well, what do we actually think about the plot of this movie, such as it was? And we were kind of dancing around the aesthetics and the music and things like that, but
at the risk of reiterating myself from the beginning, normally it bothers me when plots are route and by the book and by the numbers, but I felt like here it worked because it was in service of this gorgeous presentation. I don't know that I totally agree with you guys about the camera work, like not being interesting. I thought it was such a slick looking visual that combined with the fact that it is trying to appeal to both kids and international audiences, that I'm like, the plot, like in the same way you forgive a low budget movie for not having great effects, I forgive this for not having a great plot because it's not really the main thing we're here for. And it's, I'm really surprised myself how forgiving I was of this completely route bullshit run of the mill plot. I didn't find it offensive here. I generally didn't find all of the safe choices that offensive because in lieu of making safe choices, in lieu of making risky choices, they nail the safe choices. It is the best version of the dumbest guy goes through it is the best version of a plot I've seen a million times. Through the looking glass, help the kingdom, overthrow the kingdom, go back out through the looking glass, change. And when I say best, I don't mean best because it's interesting or good, but best because it just does what it says on the tin. You know what I mean?
And it's a Mario Brothers movie because Mario is not exactly lore rich.
It's not. Yes, it's not plot. It's not plot heavy. I just don't.
If I may, you just articulated what I've been trying to dance around articulating. Because it is not lore rich, but it is aesthetically wide, but lore shallow. I'm okay that they didn't try to explain too much, because that's a lot of these movies that get adapted from things that aren't already, movie or book fiction. They have to start trying to explain why, Wreck-It Ralph has to go through the internet. Like they have to explain all of this stuff to have it make sense in a movie. And this just doesn't bother by just not caring. It's just like, well, there's power-ups and you need them. And if you get hit, you don't have them anymore. What are we? Do you want to see me explain it, or do you want to see Mario do parkour?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was probably better ways of introducing those concepts. Like the beginning of this movie, I think is actually pretty good. I think the down on in his luck plumber opening is all works very well. You get to know the characters and their goals very efficiently. And there's some fun in there. Not everybody loves the dog in that failed plumbing scene, but whatever, it works. It was just trying to establish that, they're having a tough time making a go of it. And that leads
first 15 minutes are the best part.
Yes. Yeah. And then it leads to Mario taking a risk because he wants to be a hero. Once they get to the Mushroom Kingdom, I feel like all that patient work is just forgotten about. And then they're just sort of like fast forwarding through all the really interesting stuff. Like, yep, I'm in the Mushroom Kingdom. Yep, you have to go to the princess. Yep, we're going to go see Kong. Yep, we're going to do this, that. And it's unfortunate because you just landed in this fantastical world and we don't really get to dwell in it. And I think even if you're trying to make a very safe movie, I just don't understand why you wouldn't take the time to have fun with the fact that you just introduced this character to this fantastical world, rather than just having Toad just say, well, we're on an adventure and here we go. Like, and I have some very specific fixes about, the direction that I feel like they need to go in order to give them that time. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But that's my biggest problem with the movie.
I agree. Specifically, the scene where he meets Toad in his first 5 minutes in the Mushroom Kingdom, they just breeze by and they have no fun with it. There's no reaction to the fact that he's in Crazy Mushroom Land. And I caught myself really impressed, like I said, with the first 15 minutes, like right up until the warp pipe. I'm like, exactly what you said. They established the wants, they established the everyday, established the call to adventure. It's all there. And then he gets there and he's like, hey, we're going on an adventure. I know that's what you just said, but like what I noticed was the immediate drop in quality. Like it went from thinking, hey, this is actually really good storytelling, really organic, really natural. Oh, that sucked. Toad sucks.
yeah, Toad sucks. And even more than that, like the reactions of Toad and then the reactions of Peach towards Mario aren't natural at all. Like it feels like they are now plot engines, just like trying to get stuff like let's just get on with it. Let's get into this world and we don't have any patience for anything else. And that sort of bothered me. Like this weird dude just appeared right in front of Toad and he's like, okay, I'll help you find your brother. And that's like, there's no acknowledgement of like, that was weird that you just fell out of a pipe like that. Like that stuff bothers me a little bit.
Speaking of that transportation scene, did any of you pick up the Easter egg, which is probably my favorite Easter egg in the entire movie, when they break through that wall before Luigi gets sucked into the pipe and Mario's looking for him? It's the hole in the wall that they break through. The pattern on that backside is the Mario head sprite. From the original NES.
Nice.
Yeah.
Easter egg I caught this time was when they're first walking through the Toad village and there's some Toad shopkeepers and stuff. There's one of them. There's just a throwaway line where one goes, does this work? He goes, oh yeah, you just got to blow on it. Like an old NES. And I'm like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah. For me, the plot, I actually am okay with the first 15 minutes. I've been a very loud, staunch argument about the isekai trope of video game movies, especially live action ones where, like the more recent Monster Hunter movie where a bunch of US troops get launched into this fantastical world that is the video game world. But it's not the video game world. It's the Monster Hunter world in the movie. But like with Mario, it kind of works because he is supposed to be a plumber from Brooklyn. And I don't know how you create that bridge between them without doing an isekai kind of trope where he goes from the regular world into this fantastical world on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Mario doesn't really have any canon, right? So I guess it's all fair. Like whether it comes from Brooklyn or not it doesn't really matter to me. I think it largely works in the movie. I just think they didn't really bring it all home towards the end. There's plenty of things that they set up with the dad and Peach being also from Earth, and then none of that really means anything by the end of the movie.
Yeah, Mario just moves to the Mushroom Kingdom. He didn't make $1 million with his plumbing business.
He didn't. Yep. He didn't. Yeah, like I guess he had a brief moment where his dad looked proud. But that's that.
My son's beating up a giant turtle.
Amazing.
Well, do we want to jump into our fixes then?
Sure.
Let's go. I will never stop saying that.
I'd like to get more reading done, and joining a book club seems like a good idea, but I don't know.
Why not?
Reading a whole book in a month, that's pretty daunting.
What if it was just a chapter, say a week?
That doesn't sound too bad. Still, getting together with a bunch of people, that's a whole evening.
Well, what if it was only half an hour, whenever you wanted to?
That would be great.
The Read Along, a mini book club for your ears.
Join my wife Anita
and my husband Scott
as we take you on a journey through a good book,
one chapter at a time. Available right now on your podcatcher of choice.
Welcome back to I Have Some Notes. We are here with Josh Skaar from the Talking SMAC podcast, and we are fixing the Super Mario Brothers movie. Who wants to start?
Guess goes first.
Guess goes first. Okay. I'm going to start with, I really, as we talked about, I don't have a huge problem with the first 15 minutes. I think it establishes a lot. There's a lot of really great deep cuts. You have like Mayor Pauline, which Pauline is the first love interest that Mario had in Donkey Kong. There's just a lot of really good stuff there. And so my first really big change is going to be Luigi in general. Like, he's not going to just land in the Darklands, have a really, like, if there's anything that's visually good storytelling, like I was talking about earlier, it's when Luigi's getting attacked and scared out of his mind in the Darklands. Mm-hmm. We're going to just continue that and give him a Haunted Mansion arc.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Or Luigi's. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's going to learn how to be brave through his experiences and not just have an ex machina moment when they go back to Brooklyn for the end. He's going to learn bravery. He's going to learn that he is brave on his own without Mario through an experience with, and through,
King Boo.
And either King Boo or Kamek is going to be kind of like a subplot villain with him. He's still going to be Bowser's henchman, but Kamek can be there, like manipulating things around him and summon King Boo. And he can just he can have his own little adventure that has him end up in Bowser's castle. And I think the other thing is Mario and Peach go on like a Lord of the Rings style quest to go and get Luigi. They want to get to him before he gets to Bowser's castle, because he's just going to go for the first thing that he sees and, oh, there's a giant castle. It might be covered in lava, but I don't know what's going on because I'm not that bright.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Because he does just sort of stumble into danger. And the boos never show up. No ghosts. To the point where I'm like, I've never been disappointed to see a Shy Guy, but yeah.
Doesn't King Boo make a cameo appearance at the wedding?
He is at the wedding, yes.
Yeah.
The Shy Guys.
Wasn't that King Babam?
It was
King Babam is there too, but I thought King Boo was in the crowd.
King Boo's in the background. And he's camera right.
Okay.
But I mean, there's no playing the game with the boos where if you look at them, they stop. If you put your back to them, they come at you. Yeah. Like, that's a video game mechanic that lends itself really well to a fun narrative scene. That when he stumbles into that mansion and then the lights flicker and there's Shy Guys behind him, it's like, why are Shy Guys there? Why there should be boos?
Yeah, and it plays right into his sort of like bravery arc, because like he's realizing that these ghosts are afraid of him just as much as he's afraid of them.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Exactly. That's beautiful. And I have just like a little fanboy tangent since you brought up the Shy Guys. This movie, again, plays it so safe that even the Shy Guys just speak normal English or whatever language you might be watching it in. And I was like, that might have been one of the more disappointing moments for me watching this the first time, where you didn't get a Shy Guy going wow to Bowser. Like, Bowser should just be able to understand the nonsense that they say. So like they could just go wow, and he'd be like, "Oh, you found the mustache man. Okay, let's go." Like that. It's that simple. But instead, they have him go, "We found him in the Darklands." Like, he doesn't need to sound like Darth Vader.
Yeah, they're already minion adjacent. Why don't we have them making minion noises?
Yeah, I like I said in the first half, like my main issue with the movie is when they arrive in the Mushroom Kingdom, and I think one of the ways that you course correct, and I do think having Luigi go on his own adventure is a great way to give this movie a nice B or C plot. But what I think really would help Mario get nicely introduced to the world of the Mushroom Kingdom rather than rushing off to the Princess Castle is that they go to the Jungle Kingdom first. Like, Toad believes that for whatever reason the Kongs can help Mario out with his situation. So they're traveling on foot to this faraway land, and in between all that, you get to have Mario exploring this world, seeing all of the weird things that happened, how the environment can be manipulated to his advantage, or i.e. power-ups and things like that. So that when we get to the Jungle Kingdom and we meet Donkey Kong, that we're nice and well versed into the world, and then we can introduce Peach, because Peach is already there trying to convince Kong that she needs his army, and that's where their two plots can intersect.
I disagree with you slightly. Because I think that that's too long to wait to introduce Peach, because she's an important and major character in the movie. I think Mario runs into Toad and Peach on their way to meet with Donkey Kong, and he doesn't realize she's the princess.
Sure.
I think she's just this kick-ass lady who's going to the Jungle Kingdom, and they invite him along because he's lost. He's looking for his brother, and they're not like total assholes. And then along the way, they grow to respect one another. And then there's a big reveal, like we know because dramatic irony, but there's a big reveal. She's actually Princess Peach from the Mushroom Kingdom here as an envoy to get the Kongs to help defend against Bowser. And then Mario could be like, oh, you're the princess. Like
either that or they meet Peach in disguise along the way.
Yeah.
And that would kind of be like a shout out to the Peach Showtime game, right? You can have her in like her or one of her costumes or whatever. And then she can kind of reveal herself during a pivotal moment in the Donkey Kong fight where she, gives him advice on how to win or whatever. She can have some agency in that particular scene there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, just because I agree. Greg had the same note I did. The scene where he meets Toad sucks. It just, it goes too quickly. There's no joy of being, through the rabbit hole, the looking glass, moment, that's why the caterpillar character in Alice in Wonderland is so cool. It's one of the first ones she meets, and he is unhelpful and obtuse. And I don't think we need to go to Donkey Kong that soon. I agree with Scott and not with Greg. And I don't even think you need to have Peach already on the road. I just think you move the training montage scene to before he meets Peach, and it's Toad teaching him how to exist in the Mushroom Kingdom. Here's how power-ups work. He falls ass backwards into a fire flower and thinks he's going to burn his butt. Oh, he's got fire powers now. And then to get to Peach's castle, he's got to run and jump over the bullet bills and grab the pole and slide down. And by time he gets to Peach, he is somewhat more comfortable moving through this world. And then we get everything else that happens. Because the two least subtle things is Toad being like, hey, let's go. And Peach being like, well, there's power-ups, you see. Take one and don't lose it. Like, you just make those organic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that does get rid of that does get rid of the obstacle course, which I hate. So that's nice.
It also sets him up as seeming much more competent by the time he meets the princess, and gives her more impetus to be like, not only is this guy human, he seems to know his business around here just as well as I do. So he's a natural ally to come with me to help out. Because
at no point does Mario jump on a Goomba's head or kick a turtle shell. What if, so it's like I said, him and Toad are learning to navigate and jump and move. And the moment Mario shows up at Peach's castle, a sort of first wave, an initial envoy of Koopa Troopas are there. And instead of him being chased by toads who say intruder, he shows up and helps Peach kick a bunch of Koopa ass. And we get to see him, everything he just learned on his journey with Toad, he now gets to apply to some Koopas.
He got good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that raises a question for me, because I have this dislike of the invasion storyline of Bowser coming to try and steal Peach away for a fairy tale wedding. Because the whole point of every Mario game is to get to Bowser's castle and defeat Bowser at the castle. So that's where I'm thinking, again, he goes and gets Peach. They go on a Lord of the Rings journey to the Darklands to try and intercept Luigi before he gets to the castle. That way, Luigi's not quite the damsel in distress that he is in this one, but in the actual movie. But you're still putting an impetus on finding him before he gets to Bowser and gets in real trouble. And I think you can do that by doing levels in different areas where Mario is learning, is kind of like what we did in the NES days, where we just get dropped in and all we know is we run right and, oh, hey, that thing kills me. Let's start jumping on it. We beat it. And we kind of learned that way. So one of the fixes that I have, which I don't know exactly how you fill that gap other than just stretching out the Mario and Peach bonding on the going through the levels to Bowser's Castle, is I really don't think you need the Kongs.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't think that when we sat down to record, but over the last minute, I was like, oh, if Luigi gets Haunted Mansion time and Mario gets a Lord of the Rings through all the water world, the fire world, the ice world, then you don't, and everyone is going to congregate at Bowser's Castle. You don't need.
And the other thought I've had with cutting out the Kongs in this one is that's your post-credits scene, is you hear the DK rap coming from behind the big bamboo walls. Mm-hmm. And that's your tease for the Mario sequel. But in this one, like, the post-credits scene is a Yoshi egg, which we've seen a herd of Yoshis in this movie, among other things. And is Yoshi really that intense of a character for the Mario games that you're like, oh my God, Yoshi, I can't wait for the next one?
I don't know. Maybe. One thing maybe I'm slightly unclear, Josh, is that you mentioned a couple times that Mario and Peach they're trying to intercept Luigi before he gets to Bowser's Castle.
Yeah, so in my pitch of him going through Luigi's Mansion style thing where he's kind of locked in this mansion, he's trying to figure his way out. So that's your ticking clock, is once Luigi gets out, more or less he's heading straight for Bowser's Castle. And then Peach and Mario have to get to that haunted mansion before Luigi gets out.
Okay. I'm just a little fuzzy on why he's going to Bowser's Castle. Is there,
because it's the only structure on the horizon that looks any kind of relevant to what he's doing. Josh had mentioned that earlier, and I kind of picked that up of like, Luigi doesn't have anywhere to go, so why wouldn't you go to the structure with a face on it on the horizon? Yeah.
Even if it is ominous looking, because again, we're playing up to the fact that he's not that bright and he's just trying to figure out a way to get back to Mario.
Okay.
Is there a version then in what you're pitching, Scott or Josh? They do get to Luigi. Like, it's not that all three of them kind of get there at once. They find Luigi on the other side of the Haunted Mansion. And it's in that moment where we gain a Luigi, but we lose a Princess Peach. She is kidnapped, classic style, and now they need to go rescue him. The Super Mario Brothers need to go rescue Peach from the castle, and we're an hour 10 into the movie. Like,
I like that a lot.
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Oh yeah, there could be a good moment of tension there too, where they Mario has reached Luigi, and he feels badly that he got him into this mess, and he feels like, okay, well, now I want to get my brother home. And then there's some tension between whether Mario is going to help Peach actually complete the mission of defeating Bowser or not. And in that sort of tension, maybe there can be mistakes made that lead to Princess being kidnapped, and then Mario has to step up.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And Liam, go ahead, Scott.
I was trying to also resolve why Princess Peach is on the road trying to get to Bowser to defeat him. And the best I can figure is the Mushroom Kingdom's already been conquered. Like, we start in media res in the Mushroom Kingdom. There's already Koopa Troopas and Goombas in the castle. That's why Princess Peach is on the road with Toad. She can have a little like group of Toads. They're like the Mushroom Resistance, and they're taking the fight to Bowser. And Bowser's just morose because Princess Peach slipped through his grasp. He got the Mushroom Kingdom, but he didn't get the prize. So we can still have Jack Black pining after Princess Peach the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like what Liam pitched as well, because then that more or less becomes the end of the movie that we already have, where Peach is in her wedding dress and she can still kind of resist in her own way. But we get rid of the Maudlin Luma and all of the lava cage cells, because I really don't care for Bowser's castle just being this flying structure. Like, he should be stationary in one spot instead of just this looming presence that can just kind of come and go wherever he wants.
He doesn't. I would have rather seen him in the airship flying around. That would have been nice. Yeah. But what I do like about this is that the reward at the end is not getting back to Brooklyn. The reward is seeing the Peach's castle as
Mushroom Kingdom liberated. Yeah.
And then, Oh, Scott's waving his hands vigorously. He's got an idea.
This is perfect. Mario and Luigi, after Mario saves Luigi, Princess Peach gets captured in the ensuing confusion as Mario's torn between this incredible, super strong princess who he's just met, who has a righteous cause that she's fighting for, and his little brother who he's trying to take care of. Luigi, as part of the completion of his arc, is the one who's like, no, we have to do the right thing. I'm not going back. We need to go rescue her because she helped you save me. And Mario's like, all right, we're doing this. They go to Bowser's castle, and that's where they have the final stand with Kamek, but his princess is in another castle. Bowser took her to the Mushroom Kingdom castle to get married.
Oh,
and so they have to go and get into the
nice.
And then you get the big reveal of the Mushroom Kingdom, occupied by King Koopa and all of the Koopa Troopas. They have to fight their way in and bust up the wedding. You get your big finale in the castle there.
And you get your big Super Mario Brothers montage of them kicking ass.
Yeah. And you get the joke of your princess is in another castle.
And it factors directly into the plot rather than being a throwaway gag. Yeah.
Yep.
I also want to circle back to something someone said about Bowser's castle shouldn't move. If we're doing this version where we go to Ice World, we go to Water World, yada yada, the Bowser castle levels are always the hardest physical jumping, moving, dodging challenge in the game. Everything he's now learned is going to help him parkour around Bowser's castle. But like, we never really see Bowser's castle as an environment Mario's tearing ass around in. Like the thing with the, when you crawl on the fence and then you hammer the fence and it spins around you on the other side of the fence, like that kind of, or Womps coming down. Like,
those sort of things, I think, really could tie into Luigi's arc as well, because part of what I have envisioned here with Luigi's arc and Luigi's Mansion is that he kind of learns that, I'm not as like strong or as physically gifted as Mario, but I've got brains. I can figure stuff out. I can create stuff. And so that fence thing makes perfect sense because he could be the one that figures out like, let's bang on it. And look, it flips around and now we can have a different area that we can explore. So you can play up both characters' strengths that you've developed through this film.
Yeah, Mario's the brawn, Luigi's the brain. Together they can save the princess.
And I think we're all in agreement then that we don't need the Kongs at all.
Or the Mario Kart, honestly.
Well, I was going to say, if we don't have the Kongs, how do we get the carts? Do we need the Mario Karts? And if we think we do, I have a solution.
I mean, I guess they can
I'm willing
drive
to hear
the
your Mario
Karts
Kart
to the castle, from Bowser's castle to Peach's castle. I suppose that's one way you can get them there.
Because in Mario, as we discussed, not deep lore, where the carts come from and why they are kart racing is never really brought up. So it makes about as much sense as the Kongs to be kart enthusiasts as anyone else. Anyone in the Mushroom Kingdom can be kart enthusiasts. It doesn't really matter or make sense. So instead of running into the Kongs and their collection of carts, they go, Lakitu, I believe is his name, the guy in the little cloud who pulls you up when you fall off the road. Lakitu could just have a speaking role, and he's got this weird cart workshop, and we just sort of establish that Lakitu is the arbiter of Mario Kart racing. And he's like, you guys got to get to the castle real fast. It could even be Toad. Toad's like him. Isn't Lakitu's, a Koopa, right? He's a little turtle, yellow turtle guy.
Yeah.
He's the defector. He's the one Koopa defector. And he's like, you guys need to get somewhere fast? I got the hookup for you.
He shows them Bowser's garage, and Bowser's got a bunch of bikes and carts, and then they take off from...
Yeah, they steal him from Bowser's castle, and that's how they haul ass back from... We find out the princess is in another castle, so they get into carts and haul ass back to the Mushroom Kingdom.
Your post-credit scene could be Mario repainting his cart to be his Mario colors, right?
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's really clean. I just want to add one other little character beat for Toad. He should be explicitly Captain Toad. He's the leader of the little Toad resistance that Princess Peach is working with.
Also, if you've never played Captain Toad's Treasure Trackers for the Wii U, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so.
I mean, he's even in
One
the
of the best
movie
games
got
of
the
the
little
year.
musical sting for Captain Toad. He should just explicitly be Captain Toad.
I do have pretty much my only two fixes where I hate the Toad scene. Fix it. I hate Seth. I love Seth Rogen. I'm pro Seth Rogen. He didn't need to be Donkey Kong. He was clearly Seth Rogen. But if we're cutting the Kongs anyway, then that note is moot. The only third note I had, I don't like that the final climax, if anything is my only note for the whole damn movie, the final climax spills over back into Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should all stay in the Mushroom Kingdom.
I mean,
because even though it's cartoony Brooklyn and everyone's got weird, animation proportions, the climax of this movie is set in the same place as Do the Right Thing. Like it weirdly breaks some of the magic to have them go back to a real location that you can go visit.
well, the good news is, in the version that I kind of tagged on to the version that Josh and Greg were working on, the climax takes place in the Mushroom Kingdom. It takes place at Princess Peach's castle. We don't need to go anywhere else. We just have the big final battle with Bowser there. We shrink him down there with the reverse power up, throw him in a bird cage. We're done.
Yep. The Mushroom Kingdom is the home that needs to be protected, not
Exactly.
Brooklyn.
We don't need to go back to Brooklyn. No.
Yeah, and that also gets rid of one of my least favorite parts of the opening is I am anti-dog in this film. I do not like the Francis storyline. And then the fact that Luigi gets like a weird like nod from him at the end of it. Like I get that it's supposed to be funny, but it like make it Spike. Luigi's grown and he's supposed to be scared of Spike. It's a great homage to Mario's first appearance in Nintendo with the Wrecking Crew. Make Spike Luigi's foil, not some random dog that they threw in for a laugh.
Yeah, that's fair. I also just love the idea. What's the little wizard's name?
Kamek.
Wizard? Kamek? Kamek. I like your pitch earlier, Josh. We sort of moved past it of just like thumbs up, but having him be Luigi's foil to Mario's Bowser, I think is really slick.
Yeah, and that's fun. He's got supernatural elements to him, so he fits right in with the kind of Luigi Mansion-esque motif that we're kind of going for.
And Kamek is actually voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson, who is a legit voice actor, and a perfect reason why I've advocated in the past and on this episode of get voice actors to do things that are more memorable than what we got in this movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that in the end, that's sort of the thing that I would be concerned most about this movie is that it is so safe that it isn't going to be particularly memorable. You know, everyone remembers the Transformer movie. Why? Because they fucking killed everybody, right? Like, and I'm not advocating for killing a bunch of people in Mario. Obviously, that's not appropriate for the franchise. But like doing things not safe and doing them well is what makes your movie last into the infinity, right? Like in Mario the animated movie will likely be well remembered by our kids, but then watched as adults and be like, this wasn't as good as I remember. That's just what it's gonna be. Hello. Good night.
Speaking of kids.
Yeah.
But to your point, Greg,
she snuck right up on me.
I saw her wobbling behind you a little bit, and I was just like, "Oh God, please let it just be a normal child."
She comes out of that darkness back there.
In fairness, there was an episode years ago now where Aaron like crossed behind him in just apropos of nothing, and it scared the bejesus out of me.
While you were making your point, Greg, what you're saying is another reason why Into the Spider-Verse is such a gold standard is because they kill off the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Like that's essentially who the Chris Pine Spider-Man is supposed to be, is the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, and they kill him and Miles takes over. Like that's a huge risk to go with Miles and kill off Peter Parker, not make it a team up with that good version of Peter Parker.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that whole movie is making a lot of very interesting choices from, like the artistic design, cinematography, and like you say, even right down to the plot and who they're focusing on. So, yeah, I mean, that movie will be well remembered for forever, as you said off the top. It's basically the gold standard for modern animation now.
Any other fixes? Was there a Mario detail that, like, from all the Mario things that we've all experienced over the years, was there a Mario detail that wasn't in this that you wish there was? And or you can also include whatever you've seen in the trailer, because I'm a big Super Mario Brothers 2 fan, and it seems like the weird floating mask and some of the music from Super Mario Brothers 2 is going to be in the next one. Yeah. Great, good. I'm satiated. But is there a Mario thing you wish was in here that wasn't?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's such a storied franchise that I feel confident that if this continues to go, we're going to see just about everything at some point. I can't say that I'm missing anything. And Mario is such a malleable franchise. Like what I love about that video game series in general is that it's really all about play first and like the aesthetic of Mario second. So they're always like trying to figure out like what is sort of like an interesting game mechanic that we can just plop Mario into. And that's what makes that series so everlasting, is that they've managed to reinvent what it means to be a Mario game over and over and over and over again. And I think as far as the films go, I mean, it would be nice to see them be able to do that with Mario. You can basically throw him into just about any genre of movie you like, and you should be able to make it work because he is kind of a pretty malleable character. I don't know if that was a direct answer to your question, but
I was just more looking for someone to be like, I like what we said earlier about the airship. You should be on the airship.
I mean, airships are missing.
The propeller clown thing would have been good.
Yeah.
I am an old school fan of the original Koopalings. I still to this day resent that Bowser Jr. stole their spotlight. And if I don't get to see Iggy, Larry, Wendy, Roy, Morton, all,
rest. Yeah.
Then I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
The Koopa kids are, to me as well, like they're quintessential Mario characters. Like that Bowser Jr. has literally stolen their spotlight outside of Mario Kart is kind of strange.
Yeah.
Yep.
If I see those damn rabbits from Mario Odyssey before I see the Koopa kids, I'll be upset.
I mean, they're throwing the T-Rex in there.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say that there's anything that I wasn't disappointed in as far as like Easter eggs and references. Like, my favorite thing is in the Super Mario World on the SNES with the cape, like that's their flying mechanic is that one, and even that's referenced in one of the commercials that they have. That's when Mario's in all his lost moment, and he sees him and Luigi wearing the capes, and I'm like, it's not exactly what it is, but it's a good touch. I like it.
Mm-hmm. We hear the song at one point, but I would have liked there to have been significant time spent underwater, and we get the just because the quote unquote the water levels is such a classic Mario thing that I'm surprised at no point do they have him swimming for an extended amount of time.
Yeah, I think for that reason, the medley at the end that included all the different, like a whole bunch of different Mario tunes was one of my favorite parts of the movie.
That's one of the things that I'm still very curious about with them putting in the needle drops for this movie and making it a soundtrack movie instead of a musical score movie, is that were they so scared that this movie would be bad that they just didn't want any of the Koji Kondo stuff to be that associated with the film? Because now people are going to be like, oh, there's the underwater theme. That reminds me of this bad scene from the Mario movie. Like, I would really love to have been a fly on the wall with Miyamoto having these meetings and being like, we cannot have another 1993 Mario Brothers movie. We can't.
Yeah, I think those fingerprints are all over this. I think. I definitely think that they were. I mean, it's well known that they were scared off of movies because of what happened in 1983, and it's not too much of a hop, skip, and a jump to think that they wanted the safest movie possible, just to ensure that they weren't going to, create another black hole in the franchise.
But that almost seems like more of a reason to stick with the Mario score and not the Beastie Boys and Yellow.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah. I think you might be right. I don't like the decision. I'm not sure that it matters that much in the long run, but, yeah.
You know what? Actually, this leads really nicely into our listener comments. We're going to, head to our listener comments now. There is a glaring omission that we all forgot to complain about.
I didn't forget, but Andrew Craig had it. Yeah.
Andrew Craig says, not enough Wario.
Yeah, Wario's fun. Wario and Waluigi, who has only ever appeared in like the sport titles, kart, tennis, and such, and never in one of the main games. I will say that's using Wario in the first movie would have been unloading a piece of ammunition you wanted to save for later on.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Chris says, how could you do this before Super Mario Brothers 1993? We literally asked ourselves this question, and I think Greg has an answer for us. Greg, why did we do this before Super Mario Brothers 1993?
Well, I was almost certain that we had done it in season 1. I was so sure that we had done it in season 1 that I went back into the archives on our website and I was like, it's not there. And then I thought, well, at one point we switched providers for our podcast, so maybe it got lost. And I went even further and dived back into my hard drive to find this episode that I was sure exists. And it does not. We have not done Super Mario Brothers 1993. And it feels so bizarre to me that we hadn't, because it does seem like one of those easy picks. Maybe that will end up being a future episode.
I would disagree because it's a perfect mess.
I agree. It is. I'm glad someone is going to have my back on this one, Josh. I don't think it's a great I Have Some Notes movie because what makes it interesting is the metatextual mess that surrounds it. That if you fix anything, then it just becomes it's
the
not
movie we
the
just
weird,
talked about.
Yeah, it becomes the movie we just talked about. Like the way you fix the Super Mario Brothers 93 movie is you make this thing, and it works so much. Like because usually the notes we give on this can be tied back to like studio notes or just like screenwriting cliches or screenwriting laziness that some movies fall into. But the problems with the 93 Mario Brothers movies are so much bigger than just a clunky script or some poor casting. Like it is a perfect shitstorm of nonsense that it kind of,
maybe it deserves some kind of side notes, analysis or something like that, but maybe not necessarily a full-on fixing type episode.
Yeah, because like anyone with two eyes can see that this isn't, can see where went wrong.
Yeah.
I can't think of I'm trying to think of another example of a movie that's such a famous mess and like a total miss on the source material adaptation that it's almost a different thing entirely.
I don't know why. The first movie that came to my mind was Lawnmower Man. But
which one do you say, Scott or Josh?
I said The Last Airbender.
Sure.
Yeah, that could be.
But it isn't
The
like
Last Airbender though is so unique because it's simultaneously trying to hove so close to the source material and completely misses the mark on it.
Yeah.
Whereas the Super Mario Brothers 93 movie, like, veers wildly away from the aesthetic of, because as Liam put it, like it's an aesthetically wide pool with deep canon or deep lore, and they somehow completely missed the aesthetic. Like they just shot right over it.
I would say that the aesthetic of the 93 movie is closer to a horror movie than anything else.
Yeah. It looks more like Judge Dredd than,
Yeah.
Like a weird dystopian cyberpunk movie, yeah. Instead about a crazy psychedelic adventure in a fantasy world, yeah.
We did a commentary for Judge Dredd, and I think I literally said in that episode that I think they just stole a Mario Brothers set for Judge Dredd and recycled it.
Tack comments. Most of my changes would be big. Page 1 rewrites that I wouldn't even know where to begin writing, like make it live action. I didn't grow up with Mario unless you count a brief stint of him teaching typing, so I don't have any ideas for a better movie. Interesting. Not, I'm not, no shade to Tack, everyone's different life experiences, but I feel like when I hear someone who's like, I'm not really familiar with Mario, it's up there with like, I'm not really familiar with The Simpsons, where I'm like, how did you miss that? But I'm not a judgment call, just surprise. Please keep listening.
I would be curious who you would cast as a modern live action Mario.
I just straight up wouldn't do it. It's just not a live action character to me.
Yeah.
I think you lose the fun and essence of what Mario is as soon as you put him into like a real person's
I
clothes,
slightly disagree, because I think you could Super Mario Brothers Super Show it. I think you could have a live action Brooklyn Mario, someone of a Lou Albano or Bob Hoskins kind of look and feel, who goes into the Mushroom Kingdom and then is turned into a cartoon character because there's cartoon physics in that world, right? Sure. I think that could work, but I don't think necessarily we should do it. I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying how you could have your cake and eat it too there.
We've brought this up a couple times in terms of and there's more to Tack's comment. I've never seen them, and I wonder if maybe what we're talking about would be the thing. The Sonic movies are one where it's live action but also a cartoon. But I haven't seen them, so I don't know for sure. But I think every time we talk about picking a movie, Sonic comes up, and then it doesn't quite. Yeah.
The first one's surprisingly good. The other ones are trash. Just to give you my summation of them, I've had to watch all of them because Isla does like Sonic quite a bit.
They descend really quickly into very fan servicey, and I like they're fun, but only if you really know the Sonic lore.
Okay. Yeah. For the record, kind of the only thing that really saves them is Jim Carrey just like hamming it up the way that Jim Carrey can.
But are we sure it's really Jim Carrey? Sorry, that's...
We don't know. We don't have time for that, yeah.
No. But what I was going to say is my legit concern for the Super Mario Galaxy movie is exactly that. That this first Mario movie is fine. It's a good introduction. And then they're going to drop off because they're going to get bogged down in how many Easter eggs, how many references can we fit in? And it's going to turn into the same mess that the Sonic franchise did.
How many extra copies of Mario Odyssey can we sell by referencing it 17 times in this film?
Yeah.
I'm weirdly okay with them trying to check boxes of references. It's when they try to explain it in a way that makes sense for a movie that always kind of rubs me the wrong way. Why is Wario? You know what I mean? If they need to introduce Wario as just he's here, deal with it. If they try to explain how Wario came to be, I think we're gonna diminishing returns.
Oh, he's gonna be a comic
Solo
creation.
Get his name.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, comic making weird, bizarro. Yeah, that's fun. Good idea. Preemptive note for whenever they make Wario. Tack continues with his one real note. Their one real note. Because I don't know Tack's gender. Make the real world less energetic and fantastical. No hyper-intelligent dog. No crazy plumbing physics. Make it boringly mundane to contrast the magical sewer world.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I was suggesting with if you wanted to have it live action, have it live action Brooklyn and then cartoon Mushroom Kingdom.
And my note about why I didn't like it spilling back into Brooklyn, I was okay with somewhat cartoony Brooklyn, when Spike is yelling, he kind of gets a big puffy chest, but it's somewhat grounded in that there's no talking apes outside the pizza place, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that, everyone in Brooklyn is clapping, even though a giant turtle just got beaten up by like it's a more or less a kaiju attack. It was a giant monkey fighting a giant turtle. Like,
yeah, part of Bowser's Castle crushed a neighborhood. Why is everybody happy?
That's the other one is like buildings falling down in New York because flying things crashed into them is like kind of a weird imagery to evoke, right? Like,
have you guys done Rampage yet? Speaking of giant turtles and monkeys destroying a city?
No. That's actually,
there you go.
Put that on the list. Tack. There's still more from Tack. We keep on tangents. Calls it a hot tack. I would argue that a lot of what's boring about the Mario movie is that we adults have seen it all before in other movies. It's not new and novel to us, and it will be for younger audiences who haven't seen the movies we have. As much as I'm an old, decrepit old soul who thinks there's nothing wrong with the old movies, kids today would prefer to have their own version of just okay movies that feel amazing when you're young.
I disagreed with Tack on this point on the Discord when he posted it and for the exact reason I mentioned earlier in the episode, which is that this movie is really playing on our nostalgia to get us in the theaters with our kids. And that means that the movie needed to be targeted at both levels, and it's really not. And that ultimately is one of the reasons why it was disappointing.
Yeah.
To relitigate what I said earlier,
it made $1 billion so I guess it worked.
I mean, yeah.
I guess my rebuttal to that is, as an adult, I'm not here for the story, and I took great joy in sort of like changing my focus from the plot that's happening in front of me to appreciating the kinetic action behind. I think my favorite scene is where him and Toad are learning to move through the pipes. Like they're just outside the Mushroom Castle, and there's all the like pipe shenanigans, and it's kind of like a Scooby-Doo yakety sax moment. Cause it looked fun and chaotic, and I would be inclined, I didn't, but I'd be inclined to rewind and watch it again just to see all the like movements that I missed. Right. And so
yeah.
I don't disagree with you or Tack, but like maybe change your priorities with a movie like this and find something to appreciate as an adult, the thing with nuance and artistry.
And I think to what you were saying earlier and throughout a lot of this episode, Liam, this movie is a lot of like what people were afraid of what Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness was going to be, where it's cameo and Easter egg palooza, but it weirdly works in the way that it's presented in this, kind of like, for the most part, it did in Deadpool and Wolverine as well, where Easter eggs and nostalgia playing up as a plot because the plot is paper thin in this. Yeah. And I think for the most part, for most people, it works as long as you are familiar with the source material, which it sounds like Tack is not.
I think it helps that it's like a silly comedy as well, and that's probably why it works in Deadpool. And then again, like it would work in Shrek because Shrek has a whole bunch of like pop culture references, and because it's a silly comedy, that it's easier. When it comes to something like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, it's more of a self-serious movie. So then the nostalgic hits, like they wouldn't hit the same way. It
comes across more pandering.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I guess just to clarify, I'm not talking about catching details in the background that are Easter eggs or references to things I know. I'm talking about the fun kinetic movement to the point where this might be a hot take. This maybe is closer to, there are scenes in this movie that are action and movement and parkour wise closer to Spider-Verse than I think we're giving it credit for.
I think giving credit to the animators for that, I think that's fair. I do think that they are capturing a lot of those Mario movements really well. I just think that everything else, they do such wide shots to show you everything that it kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Whereas when in Spider-Verse, when they're doing these, like Miles is the focus of those shots. But when Mario's doing that parkour stuff, there's people doing construction work. You're looking at there's the tiny castle that is the fast food restaurant at the end of the line. That's drawing your attention. Like there isn't focus put on the craft of animation. It's more just look at everything as best you can and come back and watch more.
Yeah, I think what the word we're looking for is intention. Like something like the Spider-Verse has a lot of intention put in every frame, where they want your focus at a specific point or whatever. And I did feel like there were many scenes in this movie where it felt too busy. There was too much going on, and had they calmed things down or placed my focus in the right spot, it would have been a much better shot.
Fair.
Yes.
Yeah. Wednesday 831 says, I'd fix the ending. Don't go back to Earth. You have infinite cartoon worlds. Do that. I know what Brooklyn in Trouble looks like already. Fine that they start there, but I think a more satisfying end for Mario's arc is more hero's journey in the Magic Kingdom than resolution of daddy issues back home. And I agree that if you advertise for all ages groups, the jokes need to really go for it, like in Shrek. If you're not doing anything original, at least do it better.
You could also do a pretty good sequel bait if you stay in the Mushroom Kingdom, where you can do a Thor 1 or a Captain America the First Avenger, where the villain just kind of gets sucked off into space and just disappears without any real conclusion to their what happened to them. And that's your tie into the Mario Galaxy movie, where like, oh, now Bowser's off in the galaxy causing havoc, and Rosalina has to come and recruit you to go help with this problem you created.
Yeah.
Any Gould comments? I would cut the real world entirely. Let him come in the pipe from elsewhere and lean into a Wreck-It Ralph style. I don't know how this world works angle. I found the movie fine. Sometimes you just want to be pandered to for 90 minutes.
I mean, a part of our fix was kind of that, was to give him an opportunity to learn how this world works for longer. Yeah. And then apply those later on. He has to get good, and then he gets good.
Yep. Just like a video game.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much, Josh, for joining us. Where can folks hear more from you, read more from you?
They can hear more. They can hear more from us on our podcast, Talking SMAC, SMAC, Superheroes, Movies, Animation, Comics. You can find us on pretty much any podcatcher. Every episode has a link to our Discord, which is the best place to engage with us. And then we should be having a website launching soon. Ooh. And hopefully we'll be doing some like written reviews and making it our own little letterbox where we're going to cover just things we're not covering on the podcast, but we want to talk about in some fashion. So those are the main places to catch us. And then also you can find me on the I Have Some Notes Discord pretty regularly because I like talking to you guys as well.
Yeah. Nice of you to plug that for us. As Josh just mentioned, we have a Discord server. We'd love to chat. All four of us would love to chat with you there. You can find the link for that in the show notes and also at our other social medias, which are I Have Some Notes.bluesky.social, I Have Some Notes Pod on Instagram, I Have Some Notes over on Facebook. Check us out there and also give us a little rating and a review on your podcatcher of choice because that helps us out a little bit.
And of course, you can head over to patreon.com/I Have Some Notes to become an armchair screenwriter for just $4 a month. You'll get access to some bonus episodes, old and new. We believe we should have some I Have Some Recs dropping in the near future, as well as, honestly, it's just a great way for you to support us, and we thank you for it with a shout out on the podcast. So if you want to help support what we do, think of it like a tip or a thank you. Even a month or two means a lot to us, and we'll shout you out on the podcast like this. Thank you, Sharon, Karen, Tack, Robin, and Josh.
No, thanks required. It is my pleasure.
Yeah, thanks.
It is much appreciated.
Much for that. And out of respect for Josh, we did not spend the 30 minutes we usually do ahead of the podcast recording trying to figure out what the next movie is. So we will determine that at a later date. Maybe it'll be Rampage. Who knows? We'll see.
You suggest Novocaine, you say?
Yes.
I'm intrigued.
I am intrigued because I have not seen it yet, and I do want to see it.
Interesting. Maybe
do we want to do this
just right now?
Live?
Did we just decide we're doing Novocaine?
I think we just decided we're doing Novocaine.
Yeah, great. Done.
Nice.
Thank you, Scott. Or thank you, Josh.
Yes.
Now, who to get as a guest?
I need to get that.
Josh, we just had him.
I need to get that Janine Bell from Ghostbusters. We got one.
Yeah.
Until then, I'm Liam Creswick.
I'm Scott C. Bourgeois.
I'm Greg Beaver. Keep watching the skies.